Now that the rules are fully explained and all of the fighters have registered for the match, Nogi tells everyone that they must all pass through the gate once the starting time comes. He then explains that the act of passing through the gate will be regarded as entering the match. Nogi also points out that all fighters can see their own and other contestants' locations on the device, but they will not know who they are seeing. In the crowd, Ryuki asks Cosmo where he placed his device, to which Cosmo replies that he placed it on his ankle so it won't get in the way when he's grappling. Meanwhile, Okubo and Sapang hype each other up as Sekibayashi admits that this has to be the sickest roster of fighters, noting that there will never be another fight like this one. Suddenly, Mutiba senses the arrival of Shin Wulong's team. Fujian, Xiaoyan, Chopstick Johnny, Nicholas Lebanner, Dodo, and the rest of the cloaked warriors approach the Kengan and Purgatory teams. Of course, there's Shin Wulong, who notices that all of the opposition is present, which makes him very excited. Upon seeing Shin Wulong, everyone feels a chill run down their spines, except for Oma, who tells Shin that he took his time getting here and arrived just at the last minute. But Shin explains that his team was being reminded of the rules in a separate location, which is why it seemed like they came late. Behind Shin stands Dilbert Wu, his eyes fixated on Ryan, who just stares right back at him. After some time passes, Nogi announces that they will now pick the order of entry to prevent everyone from entering at once and causing confusion. He states that they have implemented a time lag, explaining that after the first fighter passes through the gate, the second will follow 1 minute later. As soon as the last fighter passes through the gate, the match will begin. Koga asks Nogi who will have the coin first, but Nogi tells him that they'll be drawing for that. Suddenly, Shin raises his hand, requesting to be the last one to enter because he thinks it'll be cooler and make him feel like the headliner. In exchange, Shin allows the coin to go to someone on Nogi's team. Xiao protests Shin's request, but Nogi accepts the offer, to which Shin thanks him. Lehito assumes Shin must be really confident, but Ryuki tells him that's not the case, noting that Shin just wants to enjoy himself. As Ryuki gives his opinion, Xiao rages at Shin, reminding him that he should always talk to him first. Ryuki finishes his earlier statement, saying that Shin views all of this as a game. Somewhere on the island, Jean approaches Nicholas, displeased to see him alive. Nicholas compliments the sunset and asks Jean if he thinks it's beautiful. However, he sarcastically corrects himself, saying that Jean now goes by the name Nicholas, which he finds amusing. But Jean simply threatens Nicholas, saying that he is prey and should not dare to run away from him. Nicholas mockingly responds, telling Jean to catch him if he can. Eventually, the fighters finish the lottery that was held to decide the order of entry and who would hold the coin. Hatsumi-Sin is the first to pass through the gate, walking into the forest as he thinks of a strategy. The 22nd fighter, Xiaoyan, enters next. As he walks through the gate, Shin tells him not to wait for him at the entrance, because he wants to fight alone. As Xiao walks toward the forest, he spots Kokoro and Fumayama staying near the entrance, seemingly waiting for someone. Eventually, the 64th fighter, Shin Wulong, enters, officially kicking off the match. As Shin passes through the gate, he spots Kokoro and Fumayama sitting near the entrance, waiting for him. Shin greets them and assumes they must be his first opponents. Now that the tournament has officially kicked off, it'll be interesting to see how things play out from here. With the device now equipped with UAV, we're bound to get some surprise encounters, and it'll probably make it impossible for any fighter to just hide out the match. Even though the device doesn't directly show who's on the radar, I think it'll be pretty obvious to spot either Shin or Kuroki if the dots near them start disappearing like flies. I can already imagine some fighters filled with dread the moment they realize which dot on the radar represents Shin, especially when they see him moving toward them. I was wondering where the ideal spot would be to wear the device, and I think the ankle makes the most sense. It'd probably take more effort to destroy it there than if it were on the wrist. But let me know where you guys would put it. I'm also guessing most fighters will try to avoid Shin, since everyone looked terrified when they saw him, which makes sense. Still, a few might get bold and try to challenge him, like Oma, who'll definitely want to face him since he's one of the few who aren't afraid of Shin. It was both surprising and funny when Shin requested to be the last one to pass through the gate, just so he could feel like the headliner, even going as far as to give the other team the coin to make it happen. Of course, Xiao wasn't thrilled about that, but there wasn't much he could do, even after telling Shin to consult him before making decisions. I can't help but wonder if Shin is secretly bored with being the strongest, Kind of like Yujiro, especially since he treats the entire tournament like a game. Maybe he'll confess that one day, or maybe he's just content with how things are. Then there's the conflict between Nicholas and Jean, which has actually been brewing since the Purgatory vs Kengan tournament. It looks like they'll finally settle things once and for all this time. Reinforcing the idea that Shin sees everything as a game, he tells Xia not to wait for him at the gate because he wants to fight alone. When it's finally his turn to enter, he runs into Kakakura and Funayama, who, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to spawn camp the strongest fighter in the entire tournament. I don't know what those guys were thinking, but please, pray for them in the comments so they can last at least one more nanosecond against Shin. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next chapter.